3 worst mistakes you could make in property investing. Hi, I'm Paul R. Atkinson, your real estate coach, and today we're going to talk about 3 worst mistakes you could make when you're doing a property investment. So, when you're getting a property for investments, right? That's what we're thinking about right now. What are some of the things to look out for? There's 3 things I'm going to point out to you in this video. Now, before we get started, if you've not subscribed, please do so now. I bring a lot of information to you that is useful. Most people find this something that will help them to grow their business or grow their opportunities. So it's important that you stay in touch. Also, remember to go down in the description block of this video where you'll find my gift to you. And it is an amazing opportunity for you to learn more about how to be successful in what you're doing. So what are the 3 things that I can say to you when you're doing a property investment that you should really look out for? Number 1, you should look out for that margin. What is a margin? Well, a margin is what you're attempting to gain on your investment. So for example, it's a return, ROI, return on your investment. So if you are going to put out X amount of dollars, $100,000, you would like to make $10,000. That's 10%. You would like to make 20. What is the return on the investment that you would like? Identify that margin, because those people that don't think about the margin before they get into a real estate investment, that is one of the worst things that you could possibly do. You're going in blind. You don't know. You could run across issues. Things come up all the time when you're doing real estate investments. So it's very important that you have that margin identified in your own mind and on paper. You know what you want to see on the return. So about margin, let's talk about it a little bit more. It's pretty simple. If you were to go to the bank today, right, and you would say to the bank teller or the bank manager, hey, I have $100,000 and I would like, the purpose of me giving you this money is to see it grow. And in my mind, I would like to see it grow 5%. So I'm already spending that money. Well, first of all, there's no bank that's going to give you 5% on your money. But if there is, please let me know. So it's just a way for you to understand the margin here. So when you think about that, it's the return on the money after all expenses. So you put out the money and you put extra to fix it or to get it going. And then when it's finally said and done, this is the margin that you've gained. Now, the margin could be gross or it could be net. So I would like to say to you, I think you should think about the net margin. In the net margin, that's the money that you're going to take in. Sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out all the roadblocks that you might come in and all the expenditures you may have. So you think about the gross margin. And a lot of investors will say, hey, as long as I can gross 20%, I'll leave 2% for margin for error. I'll leave 2% margin for error. So they'll end up netting 18%. So think about that margin factor. And that is one of the things that I would say is the worst you can ever do in real estate investment if you're not thinking about your margin. The margin is very important. And as you think more about what you can run into when you're doing real estate investment, that could be possible something that is not good for you is what? The cash. Not having enough cash to do the reno. Not having enough money to do the renovations, to, you open up a wall and then you're like, whoa, it's going to take $10,000. It's going to take, maybe sometimes $1,000. And those small amounts of monies can kind of cripple you. So you need to make sure you have enough resources just in case there is some kind of issue that comes up. So whenever you're creating a budget for the project, you probably want to go 10 or 15, maybe even 20% of that budget, just a little bit as a cushion. So remember, in the description of this video, you could find more information on how to protect yourself and how to do these kind of things in a way that would benefit you on a consistent basis. So there's the third thing that I want you to think about when you're thinking about that real estate investment is for you to having the ability to close on the deal. The third thing that I'd like to share with you when it comes to real estate investment is you want to make sure that you have an exit strategy. More than one, of course, exit strategy. If you could get to 3 or 4 exit strategies, that is a wonderful thing. So remember, we're talking about some of the worst things that you could do in real estate investment. And one of the worst things, the third and last thing that we're talking about here that could be very terrible for you is the fact that you don't have the proper exit strategies. So what do I mean by that? Well, when you get into an investment, you have to think about how you're going to exit out of it. Can you sell it? That's one exit strategy. Can you rent it? That's one exit strategy. Can you vacation rent it? Airbnb, Vrbo, can you? Think about those things, right? So the more exit strategies that you have on going into an investment is the better off you can be. So for example, let's say you're going to pick up a property, right, for investment purposes, and the property does not allow you to rent for the first 1 or 2 years. And you could only sell it, huh? You only have one exit strategy. You cannot rent it short term. You cannot rent it long term. You can't rent it at all. So you have to think about that. Sometimes you see investment opportunities that you get into, and there's a situation here where you cannot even sell it. You know, sometimes you have the new construction and the developer says, hey, you cannot sell in the first months or years, whatever it is. Read those clauses. Make sure that you're noticing this, because if you can't exit out of that in a time when you need to, then you could really be in a world of you know what. So real estate investments are something that is wonderful. I've done quite a bit of them. It's a way for you to create passive income. It's a way for you to create income to live and to survive. It's a way for you to create retirement income. So it's a wonderful thing. Just know those 3 things. Recognize your margin going into that. Then also make sure you have enough cash flow in case there is any issues when you're doing the renovations or updating. You always want to make sure there's enough money or resources. You know, you have an investor or someone or access to money that would allow you to finish up the project. And finally, gotta have that exit strategy. Think about it. You know, when you can get rid of the property in more ways than one, you are what? The champion, right? So think about that. So it's always a pleasure. We talked about this investments things and with real estate today. And don't forget, go down in the description of this video and find my what? Gift to you. You know, I always bring a gift. I'm like Santa Claus, right? So take a look in the description block and get that gift. My pleasure to you. Send me a comment. Just let me know that there's more questions you'd like to ask, or there's something that's on your mind in particular. Just send me a comment. Just click and connect with me. If you'd like to do some coaching one-on-one, also go in the description of this blog. Click on that. We can connect and spend some time and do some assessments and see where you're needing to go and help you to get there, right? Sounds good? You know what I like to say? Go get 'em, Tiger.